I'm now going to show you how to prepare your answer in order to get the full 6 marks for part A of this question. It says prepare the allowance account, so let's get started. The title of the account is Allowance for Impairment Loss on Trade Receivables. Okay, the standard headings for every account are date, particulars, debit, credit, and balance. Okay, so this is a standard heading for any account. It's just that the name of the account will change based on what is asked in the question. So remember, the allowance account is a negative asset with a credit nature. Now that you know the nature of the account, you got to determine among the debit and the credit, which one refers to the increase column and which one refers to the decrease column. So the rule that I've taught you always is, when you follow the nature, you have to increase. So because this account has a credit nature, the credit column, which is the same nature, denotes the plus. And the debit column, which is opposite to the nature, denotes the minus. So every time you want to increase the allowance account, you place your figure on the credit column. Every time you want to decrease the allowance account, place your figure on the debit column. Okay, so let's read the question and put the relevant information into this account. Question says that on 1st January, the business has 5,000 in the allowance account. So let's place that information in here. So that's the year 2013, January 1st, balance brought down. Okay, 5,000, I put it straight into the balance column because it's a balance. Okay, but do not forget to attach a sign next to the figure. Okay, and the sign for the balance brought down always follows the nature of the account. So if this account has a credit nature, my sign will be a credit. Okay, for the opening balance. Next, let's read the information in 2013. It says that Mr. Wong was declared bankrupt on 31st August. So let's update the date as August 31st. It's always good practice to write the month followed by the day. Okay, so the double entry is to debit the allowance account. This is your allowance account, so the figure must be on the debit column because it says debit allowance account. How much? 4,000. So debit on the same line here, put in 4,000. What do you fill in for the particulars now? It's always the opposite account name. So we can write here, trade receivable, but remember, name him because there are so many trade receivables in your question. So he is actually Mr. Wong. All right, now you need to update your balance. So 5,000 minus 4,000 is actually 1,000. And the sign remains the same because it's still a positive balance. Okay, moving on to the remaining 2 figures within the year 2013. We have discussed that for Jenny and Chan, it is a case of us estimating that they are likely not to pay us back. What is the double entry for such a case? It is actually debit impairment loss on trade receivables and credit allowance for impairment loss on trade receivables. So if I'm crediting allowance, remember the figure should be on the credit column. Okay? But the common mistake students make is to actually place this 8,500 on the credit column because, well, following double entry rule, right? But that's where this topic is unique. Okay, so first step is to update the year-end date, which is 31st December, and place the 8,500 instead on your balance column. Why? Because the accountant has decided that these are the estimated amounts for the year ended 31st December 2013. So I should actually update the balance with what they have predicted will not be collectible. So now, this is the tricky part of this topic. you have to find how did we actually arrive from 1,000 to 8,500. Well, simple math will tell you that you had to plus 7,500. So this is the plus column. Let's update it with 7,500. And what is the opposite account name? Remember your double entry? If this is the allowance account, my opposite account is impairment loss on trade receivables. So ILOTR. And remember, the figure you should derive is this figure. Okay, so that's the figure the examiner expects you to derive. With this, you have fulfilled half of the mark. That means 3 out of 6 because you have presented the information for the whole year 2013. You still have 2014 left. So let's continue. You actually bring down the figure to the next year. So 2014, January 1st, balance brought down again. Where I left off is where I'm going to continue at now. Okay, so let's read on. 31st December, we know that the entire 4,500 is an estimate. None of them are confirmed bankrupt, it's just an estimate. So this entire 4,500 must now appear again in the balance column. Okay, so let's put the 4,500 again in the balance column. Both transactions are at the same date, December 31st, and my opposite account again is impairment loss on trade receivables. Okay, it's not over yet. We still have to end the account by bringing forward to the following year, which is good practice. And there you have it. You have achieved your full 6 marks for this complicated question. But wait, there's something missing. Can you spot it? How did we get from 8,500 to 4,500? We have to minus 4,000. Since the minus column is the debit column, we are supposed to write 4,000 in the debit column. And this 4,000 is a figure that we are required to derive, just like we derived the 7,500. So remember, this allowance account is an estimate account. Whatever information is given in the question as being the estimate for that year end must actually be presented in the balance column. Take a look. 8,500 and 4,500 are the estimated figures given in the question for the respective year ends, and we have placed them accordingly for the year ends in the balance column. After doing that, your duty would then be to derive the relevant impairment loss on trade receivables value for those particular year ends.
Hey, thank you for staying through the entire video. I hope the video has bring you much understanding to how to do this topic well. So if you like the video, remember to click like and don't forget to subscribe.